You know how when a film comes out and it's universally adored and beloved, you always get a few naysayers willing and happy to point out the flaws in said film. Well, today, spoiler alert, massive spoilers by the way, if you haven't seen it, bug off now and watch it, and then maybe come back to this video. I'm going to be talking about what I despised about Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Now, I saw the film 2 days ago and I generally loved it. It is a great film. It is well acted, well directed, absolutely stylish. It's nice to go back to the galaxy far, far away. I've got a few issues. Yeah, I'm going to unleash the wrath of the internet upon myself 2 days before Christmas. Let's hope I make it. So, spoilers alert, spoilers ahead. Let's start at the beginning. Now, additionally, I've got... did make a few notes, so if you see me glance down, it's because I had to type on my laptop, which is just there, just to get things in order. So, for everyone who watched episode 6, it ended with the second Death Star exploding, the death of the Emperor, the party with the Ewoks, the We Are Free, you know, Luke making peace with his father, and you know, and Han and Leia got together. It ended perfectly. And in the last 30 years, there's been extended universe, so expanded universe, which showed us from what happened next, the reformation of the Republic, the Jedi twins, Luke and Leia, going through the issues but still being together. Forget about that. Forget everything that we've loved over the last 30 years because that's all gone. Essentially, the Emperor died and it got worse. First thing you learn is it got worse. Which is a bit of a kick in the face to us fans who've been following the comics and the books and everything over the years. It went to shit. Yeah. So basically, the end of episode 6 changed fuck all. Slightly disheartening, but let that go, let that go. It ends with the phrase Luke Skywalker. The title call starts with Luke Skywalker is missing. Now the reason behind that and the issue with that, I'll get to the end of this. But now let's start with the actual start of the film. Biggest issue. Too much like the first one. When I say first one, I mean episode 4, A New Hope. You've got Rey, just like Luke Skywalker and Anakin before her, on this horrible desert world, miserable, alone. No one really gets them. I mean, Rey's an absolute kick-ass character, and the fact she's very self-sufficient for someone who's adopted when she was 5 years old is absolutely makes a character. However, the fact is she runs into a droid which has the same information on it that she has to bring back to the rebels, too much like the first one. Even though BB-8 is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, BB-8 is just actually based on the original design for R2-D2, but they couldn't do it 30 years ago. So, well, almost 40 years ago. So they just pretty much reused the idea, and it's cute, and that's kind of continuity between the characters. They're quite so similar, you know. Yeah, so I will give that. Next one up, they have to escape from this desert planet, and they run. Her and Finn, who's another great character, have to get away on a piece of junk, and that piece of junk is the Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon, the iconic character that should be in a museum somewhere. That's where it belongs, in a museum. Yes, I went there. Is in a goddamn junkyard. And it's a surprise after 30 odd years that it still flies, still retains its original parts, and hasn't been stripped down to a skeleton. So, but hey, by some miracle, they find it, it flies, and by the contrived coincidences of the Star Wars universe, not that coincidence, apparently there was a bug on it, it winds out with Han and Chewie. Now to see them again, a little bit weird, because at the time, they're in this kind of like bitch contest between the Irish, the equivalent of the Irish and the Chinese in the Star Wars universe, as managed to piss off both parties. You kind of sit there thinking, you could have done more with those characters, but anyway, escape, escape, escape. Why not with the rebels somewhere? And yeah, the rebels, made up of General Leia and everyone else. Now, this is when we relearn what happened. And Luke buggered off somewhere. Leia's been looking for him. R2-D2, who is the only character in the entire Star Wars universe to actually know the truth of the Skywalker family. If you see the trilogy as the story of the Skywalker family, all 6 films, and how emotionally screwed up they all are, he is the only character who knows the truth. So C-3PO had his mind erased, but R2-D2 never did. Which is quite sweet that R2-D2 stayed next to C-3PO for all those years, hoping that his boyfriend would get his memory back, which never happened. I know, yeah, gay robots, so cute. When Luke buggered off, R2-D2 shut down. He threw the basic equivalent of a teenage straw up and just stopped talking. And it turns out that in R2-D2 is the rest of the map, which BB-8 was holding. You're like, maybe Luke Skywalker fucked off because it just didn't want to be found. I mean, you've gone to all these chase Leia, but personally, if he's done all this and not important to let his own twin sister know where he's going, I'd cut off my ties with my own twin brother. Issue with Leia. Lovely seeing Carrie Fisher again. How come is it that she never uses the Force? It's pretty much said that Luke is the last Jedi. Marvellous. So Leia, over the last 30 years, never once developed her Force sensibilities. Sorry, hold on. Never once developed the use of the Force. Apart from a little bit that we see later. Yeah, that's kind of... Leia was criminally underused at various points in the original film. And the whole idea of Luke is the chosen one, well, hey, fuck you if you're Leia, hey. Another issue, speaking of, now we're going to the whole biggest issue I have is with the Jedi. How the hell did Maz get that lightsaber? Can anyone answer that for me? Now, it was the whole idea of the Force being, okay, this thing that surrounds us, midichlorians. Some people have higher midichlorian count than others, which is when they become Jedi. But I've never heard in the Star Wars saga of what a contrived coincidences, a lightsaber having a psychic link with someone. It seems a bit ridiculous. Unless, and this is the only thing I can get to this, those younglings that die, since the blood is probably still on the blade, was calling out somehow. You know, I heard 1,000 voices screaming out, hey, the younglings. I need to find some kind of logic in this. So, how Maz got Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber is like, what the hell? You don't hold the Ark of the Covenant in a goddamn trunk, down a passageway, probably under the stairs, down a corridor, in the dirt. She never said where she got that from, which I thought was a bit stupid. And secondly, Maz is a damn good character. So I really hope you've seen in the next 2 films. Very Yoda-ish, but more kind of cocky Yoda, and I did like that. Okay. Now, going with the whole kind of Jedi Sith thing, because they are the defining things of the trilogy, I'm going to say this now. What the fuck is going on? This is the ultimate spoiler if you haven't seen it. You've got Kylo Ren, who is Ben Solo. Yes, essentially, Leia and Han got busy and produced Ben. Now, it's not mentioned if she produced any more, because I was kind of looking forward to see the Jedi twins in the film, if they were in the film, and in the actual books. Jason Skywalker did go nuts, kill his little brother, and then his sister Jania had to kill Jason. Quite epic. Quite sad. Proving once again the Skywalker family cannot be happy. So, we find out quite early on that it is Ben Solo from a conversation he has with Supreme Leader Snoke. Now, so you know straight away he's a Solo. But, okay, this is the worst thing. He first appears so reminiscent of Darth Vader, it might have been the same character. Basically, he's just, you know, he's like a Darth Vader groupie. He spent his entire life believing what he wants to, apparently about his own grandfather, and pretty much worships his burnt helmet. Now, I get that, but the problem is, they're trying to make it like he's Anakin 2.0. He comes across like a petulant teenager, and when he finally takes off the helmet, you know the actor Adam Driver looked it up, he's 32 years old. He looks like a teenage boy. A teenage boy having a goddamn tantrum. He's supposed to be an all-powerful Sith, or a Sith in training. I wasn't kidding that. I just wanted to slap his little face. He looks like a goddamn kid. I'm like, you're not really that threatening. You are, seriously. You're maybe holding a lightsaber right now, but I don't get the threat from you. I don't think any few of us actually did. However, the scene where he killed Han, that was absolutely tragic, and that was beautifully done. And Leia having that little, moment of feeling it. But the moment she actually said, talk to your son, you knew he was going to die. That wasn't even a shock. The moment he walked out onto that bridge, which, why the hell don't they have handrails in the galaxy far, far away? Health and safety. The moment he walked onto that bridge, you knew he was dead. That was it. It kind of lessened the impact of it. It didn't come out of nowhere. It was a contrived coincidence of the Star Wars universe. Though it was absolutely heartbreaking, and Harrison Ford played that to the hilt. However, speaking of the new bad guys, the new Sith, the bad guy, what's his name? Supreme Leader Snoke. Issue I have right now is the fact he's a CGI character. There is no menace in any film where you have a character that's CGI. In episode 3, when it's General Grievous, he's CGI. When they're fighting him, you really don't give a toss because he's CGI and there's no tension. He's voiced by Andy Serkis and Motor Captain, who I've actually met. And Andy Serkis is a lovely, lovely guy. Seriously, he's wonderful. He actually lives near Islip, which is not too far from Islip. That's not too far from where I live. However, when you have a CGI character who the actual actor is based on is 5'8", well, Snoke's supposed to be 7 foot. Let's mean it's CGI. If there is a battle with this guy, there'll be no tension or menace there. So they really missed out on something. Maybe they're going to recast it later on. You never know. I was kind of hoping that Snoke would actually want to be Luke Skywalker. Which is a shame, because that's been an interesting twist. Okay. Now my biggest issue. My two biggest issues with this film. Who the hell does Rey belong to? She looks just like Natalie Portman. I can't be the only person out there who, when she appeared for Wings Support, she looks like a very young Natalie Portman. So, which indicates, yes, she's a Skywalker. Either Luke or Leia's. Now, there seemed to be a connection between her and Leia that I did kind of pick up on. When she was giving her that hug. There is something there. So she could be Leia. She could be Jania, which would be absolutely lovely. Or she could be Luke's daughter. Now, in the actual expanded universe, Luke did actually have a son called Ben, which is the name they gave to the Solo Boy. But that'd be a nice little touch if she is Luke's. But if Luke is her father, and if Mara Jade is her mother, because that'd be lovely. Mara Jade being Luke's wife in the comics. That'd be absolutely lovely. But it doesn't change the fact that Luke dumped her on a desert planet when she was 5 years old, which would probably make him the most shittiest father since Avatar Aang. Yeah. So she's definitely part of the Solo family, or Skywalker family, but who she actually belongs to is the mystery. And it'd be quite, dare I say this, a bit dumb, where essentially twin has to go against twin. It seems a bit cliche, but this is Star Wars. The whole film's a cliche. However, here we go. Sorry, I need to get a drink before I say what I'm going to say next about the biggest issue with this film. Even though it's absolutely marvellous, and I love it, and I got emotional at various points, and it was great. Biggest issue with this film is it tells you in the opening crawl, Luke Skywalker has disappeared. He's vanished. He's gone. You learn that Luke, pretty much after episode 6, went around collecting children with full sensitive abilities to take them to an academy to train. And this was actually based on some books I read when I was at my teens called the Skywalker Academy books. Okay, about Janie and Jason of all things. Until Jason and Ben went nuts, turned to the dark side and killed them all. Pretty much like the younglings in episode 6. When this happened, Luke Skywalker, the most powerful Jedi of all, and the last Jedi, if you will, since everyone else had been trained, pissed off. He fucked off somewhere. Now, I can understand, maybe he did it out of shame, because he was ashamed of about what happened, but at the same time, it's so Luke buggered off. The Empire, or the more darker, more Nazi-ish, Hail Hitler equivalent of it, rose up. There's a Sith in control, and instead of staying and facing up to his responsibilities and doing something about it, he pretty much fucked off to Ireland to brood in a cave. So everything that happened, this rise, it never said how long this goes, but if, let's say, 15 years. I put Ray's age down about being maybe 18, 19, and she was 5 when she was abandoned. So let's say about 15 years in between this happened to that happening. Luke cannot be found. The universe goes to shit, and instead of facing up his responsibilities as the last Jedi and doing what he can to stop this, he fucks off in a cave. So essentially everything that happened is the fault of Luke Skywalker. Now, I know that the Jedi, now I've got a bit of a dubious history, what I feel with the Jedi, because the Jedi are, we think in the original trilogies, 4, 5 and 6, that they're these wise, wizard, mystical beings who keep peace and restore balance across the universe. Then they get to the prequel trilogy and find out they're basically a bunch of dicks who really deserve what's coming to them, who do everything they do with the masquerade of peace and kindness and balance, and essentially they're just a bunch of power-hungry bastards. And once again, when all the 66 came through, I was so happy for them because I believe in karma. They pretty much are happy with slavery. If it's not the droids, it's planets that are out of their control, like, funny enough, Tatooine, or the clones. Now, they wind up with all these clones on their hands, which have been raised and brainwashed, and instead of seeing them as human beings, which everyone would, under such circumstances, and helping them to, I don't know, find some sense of who they are, they pretty much like, yay, we're going to war, but we've got a clone army to use. When his clones turned around and with Order 66, I was like, yes, you had that coming. They didn't even bother trying to arrest Palpatine. They just wanted to kill him there and then. Even though Palpatine was a Sith, he was democratically elected, okay, Jar has something to do with that, into the Senate. They had no right to do that. They do not follow the actual laws of the governments that they are protecting. They have their own. So, at the end of episode 6, you have Yoda, after being beaten up slightly by the Palpatine, just turn around saying, I've been defeated, I must go into exile. Why? Okay, continuity. You have Obi-Wan Kenobi going to watch over Luke on a distant world, but not even train him until he's in his teens, which didn't exactly help the situation. If he'd known about this earlier, could have done something about it. And essentially, all the Jedi have ever really done is just lied or bent the rules and been kind of passive about it under the guise of we're doing what we can because of the Force. Well, screw you, you had it coming. And Luke Skywalker is no exception to that rule. The universe got difficult, he screwed up somewhere, did not face up to his responsibilities, and pissed off. So, once again, if Rey turns out to be his daughter, I think both her and the audience are going to be pissed off for that. So, there you have it. My currently 18-minute whinge. But what I hated about the film that I generally love, and I won't be buying it on Blu-ray, I wait till all 6 of them come out, and then so 3 of them come out, then I'll buy them on Blu-ray then. Go to this box. So, that is my issue with The Force Awakens. A film I generally enjoyed, and Jada did a great job. Nice touches to the original, but that was my issue with it. And, you know, it was nice to see the original cast back again. So anyway, last video before the end of the year. Thank you for watching, and till before Christmas. Hope it's a great one. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Take care. Bye now.